back to this, the 2013 Pokemon World Video Game Championships, the Senior Division Finals. Great to hear from Toller again in that last video. We've got a great matchup between Hayden McTavish and Ben Hickey coming up for you. I'm going to kick it down to my good friend Nick McCord on the stage to introduce the match.
Thanks so much, Evan. As always, what an exciting match we just saw, but we've got two Americans kicking it off for that crown of Pokemon World Champion. Ladies and gentlemen, Hayden McTavish! And his opponent, Ben Hickey! Now we'll see whether or not McTavish can pull it in, or this is Hickey's game. Trainers, there's a lot riding on this one. You may begin.
There is a lot riding on this match. The title of the Senior Division World Champion on the line here. You can see Ben Hickey's team on the top of your screen. Metagross, Rhyperior, Ludicolo, Cresselia, Tornadus, and Hydreigon. And of course, Hayden's team off screen is Machamp, Scizor, Cresselia, Rotom, Heatran, and Thundurus Incarnate. Some pretty interesting teams here. The Rhyperior especially, and the Tornadus, and on Hayden's side, the Machamp.
It's a really interesting Pokemon here. I mentioned before the variety is great, and again, the seniors, they're using some things that almost no one uses. I think that's a mark of a really great player, where you can figure out how to make those pieces that maybe aren't the most common or the easiest to use at work by putting them in the right situation. There's a lot of stuff like Cresselia that gets used in a bunch of teams, because it's easy to place in teams. But it's more difficult to use a Machamp or even Tornadus well early, I think. But if you can do it, you're harder to play against because your opponent probably has an experience against it, and you get unique tricks because these Pokemon are worth using. They just require a little bit more thought and care.
And here we go into game one of this best-of-3 set. We have the Hydreigon and the Metagross up on the top of your screen for Ben Hickey, and on the bottom of your screen, Hayden McTavish's Machamp and Heatran. This, the first lead, the first turn of the first game to decide the 2013 Senior World Champion. From these leads, that sort of outside pick of Machamp really putting the pressure on.
Yeah, I'm excited. The champ in the senior final match. Who would have thought? But it's putting some pressure on here. It's a fighting type Pokemon. It's good against Hydreigon. And it's reasonably bulky and slow, so that'll help it out. And it also has access to the move Wide Guard, which is going to be a big problem for Metagross here.
Yeah, and Hydreigon is going to protect itself. Machamp does go for the Wide Guard. It is going to protect the Machamp and the Heatran from any kind of spread attacks that the Metagross might decide to use. Heatran is going to set up a substitute. We saw last year at Masters Worlds Finals how dangerous a Heatran behind a substitute can be. And the Earthquake coming out from Metagross isn't going to hit the Machamp or Heatran thanks to that Wide Guard.
Great play with the Machamp there. Like I said, this is why it's worth using these unconventional Pokemon. Or something, because it's going to have special attacks. So.
Hydreigon is going to make use of those three-headed special attack. Does go for the Draco Meteor. Interestingly enough, not a Dragon Gem, which we normally see on these Pokemon, these Dragon types, to make the most out of that Dragon Gem. But look at how much damage that did, bringing Machamp all the way down to the red. Does have the special attack fall, and there it is, the Light Orb, another common boosting item there. And Machamp is going to be able to heal off some of that damage with its Citrus Berry. Great item for a bulky Pokemon like a Machamp. And Heatran is going to be able to get off its Heat Wave thanks to its substitute. It's going to be protected for this turn. It's going to deal super effective damage on that Metagross, and deal a little bit of damage to that Hydreigon as well. And dealing a whole lot of damage to that Metagross. Almost gets the one-hit KO. Brings it down to just the blinking red. But Metagross is going to be able to get its Earthquake off this time, thanks to Wide Guard not being used by Machamp. It is going to be able to break that substitute and maybe get the KO on Machamp. It will be very close, thanks to the reduced damage from spread moves there. You see Heatran's substitute faded. Better to have the substitute fade than take that Earthquake in the face. And Machamp does survive with 13 HP. Gets the dynamic punch off on the Hydreigon. One of the cool things about Machamp is it cannot miss.
Dynamic punch is not a very common move, because it normally has 50% accuracy, but the special ability of Machamp is No Guard, which means it never misses, and nothing ever misses it. So it can use inaccurate moves like that when it makes them accurate. Really good turn for Machamp there. Normally I'm a big fan of Hydreigon using the item Life Orb because it gives you more sustained defensive pressure, and you can do more damage with boost other than Draco Meteor. And Machamp may be added to the fun here.
Yeah, Machamp does go for the wide guard again, going to protect that Heatran from any incoming Earthquakes. Possibly to go ahead and set up for the free substitute on Heatran, just in case the Trick Room does come in. The substitute is put in place by Heatran. We're going to be able to take another hit from that Metagross and the Hitsu. The Earthquake does come out into the wide guard again. Machamp just making sure that that Metagross can't do much of anything this turn, this game, as the wide guard protects both of them, and the Trick Room does come out from Cresselia, going to make sure that the slower Pokemon are going first for this next 5 turns.
Sort of an interesting choice there. Metagross does like being slow here. I was sort of surprised that there wasn't an attempt to stop the Trick Room. It'll be interesting to see what his plan is here and what he's brought that might prefer to be inside Trick Room, including Machamp.
Yeah, Machamp being very slow does get that dynamic punch off on the Cresselia, like you mentioned. That confusion status is another way to afflict that on the opponent. Cresselia, now confused, will have to be able to fight through its confusion to make its own attack, but it's not. It's going to hit itself instead. As we've seen before, just those extra turns can't be what makes the difference here. The Earthquake is going to be able to finally KO that Machamp, but it did what it needed to do, got the confusion onto that Cresselia, and the substitute for Heatran is going to allow it to probably KO that Metagross should its Heat Wave hit. As we see, Heatran's substitute is fading now, and Machamp does take the last little bit of damage needed to knock it out. Thanks goes back to his trainer as Heat Wave does hit both Pokemon, and we will see that Metagross going down, as well as Cresselia taking quite a bit of damage there. Usually we see very bulky, but a critical hit.
There's too much bulk you can train your Pokemon to stop critical hits at this point, so still Cresselia is going to heal up here and should end up reasonably healthy by the end of the turn.
Yeah, the Citrus Berry is going to make sure that Cresselia stays healthy for this turn, and does still have Trick Room up, which is important, especially if Ben decides to bring like the Rhyperior out, which will instantly threaten that Heatran. We see Hayden deciding to go with the Scizor. Scizor going to be able to pressure Cresselia immediately, and we do see the Rhyperior coming out. Good move there by Ben to get that Rhyperior out, which will also threaten Scizor. Even though it's a Steel type, and the Bug type does make sure that the Ground type is neutral to it, Scizor is still a very fragile Pokemon. A lot of powerful spread moves. Like that Earthquake. As Rhyperior does use the Earthquake, Cresselia's Levitate does make sure that it is not taking any damage from its partner. And the Ground Gem activates, strengthening that Earthquake's power, boosting the damage output of that Rhyperior immensely, is going to get the Shuka Berry out of Heatran, but thanks to that Ground Gem, not going to matter all that much. Is going to make sure that Heatran does faint, and Scizor's hit points are dropping dramatically too, but does manage to hang on with that 50 HP, and the Steel typing is going to be pretty scary against that Rhyperior from Scizor. Cresselia is still confused, isn't going to be able to make an attack again, does get hurt itself in its own confusion, as Scizor uses Bug Bite, is going to go ahead and take out that Cresselia, opting to take out Cresselia instead of that Rhyperior.
Yeah, Machamp helping out from beyond the grave there, and confusion's a big deal. Cresselia would have done a whole lot of damage there, but chip damage is always important, especially if it, say, used Ice Beam and had a chance to freeze there. It'll be interesting to see what the last Pokemon on Scizor's side is there, because Scizor will be able to do decent damage with Bullet Punch. It's only going to be able to attack once, but
this Rotom is going to be a little bit more of an issue.
He knew how to pick his Pokemon on this one. It looks like Rhyperior might be able to turn this one around, but Rotom's a great counter to Rhyperior. It's got Levitate, so it can't be hit by Earthquake. And Rock Slide will do decent amount of damage. There's a chance to flinch, but all it's going to take is one Hydro Pump to pick this game up if it can hit.
Yeah, definitely. Ben is going to have to hope for a flinch here, but not going to get it as the Double Protect comes out to try and stall out the Trick Room, just to make sure that Rhyperior doesn't get the free attacks off, and that Rock Slide into both of those Double Protects. Waste the turn of Trick Room.
And clever play, I have to make sure that Rhyperior at least has one turn where it has to actually dodge a Hydro Pump and just can't just go for flinches, which greatly increases the odds that Rotom's going to be able to close this game out. Really smart Pokemon choices by both sides of the front. It seemed like every time a Pokemon was knocked out, they replaced it with exactly the Pokemon they needed. So both these guys really know what they're doing. I think they played in Swiss as well. So they know this matchup and what each other's likely to bring, and that makes this best of 3 that much better.
Yeah, we see the Bullet Punch coming out from Scizor, going to get the damage off before it goes down to the incoming Rock Slide. We do see the Rock Slide from Rhyperior is going to connect with both Pokemon. is going to probably be enough to KO that Scizor. You see it goes down, it deals about half to, a little bit less than half to that Rotom. Not going to be enough, but does get the flinch. But now Rhyperior is going to have to dodge a Hydro Pump as the Twisted Dimensions return to normal.
And that's why it was worth stalling out that Trick Room there. Really important to do that. Give Rotom a much better chance of coming out on top here. As long as it hits the Hydro Pump, it's in good shape. But now that Scizor isn't around, if it does miss Hydro Pump, Rock Slide's going to do extra damage because there's no teammate to reduce the spread damage. So either Pokemon can take a win for the trainer on this turn.
Yeah. Oh, and Rotom opting not to worry about the shaky accuracy of Hydro Pump. Goes for the hidden power. The special type move that is based on its internal stats, and does get the super effective KO like the grass there. And Hayden McTavish is going to take the first game against Ben Hickey in this best of 3.
He's only a game away now. It's going to be an exhilarating moment. He did lose to Ben during Swiss, so that makes this win that much bigger. Probably helps the confidence a lot. You know, it's tough to go into a tournament having lost to someone already, knowing that maybe your team matchup isn't good, maybe they outplayed you. Either way, it's frustrating to end up in that situation again in Top Cut. But he looks good now. He's got that first win under his belt, so he knows he can do this. He put himself in a position where Wide Guard can be such a big factor in the game. I wouldn't be surprised this time if he deviates from that strategy a little bit. I don't know if he was expecting that Draco Meteor to knock out the champ, which also would have led to a much better situation for him. So maybe that's a damage roll thing. Maybe he just didn't get a chance to do that in the previous best of 3. But he should have all the information he needs to be in a better position this time. Maybe approach the beginning of this game a little bit differently. Rhyperior is big though, so yeah, he just needs to find a way to give Rhyperior enough help that he can actually finish the game out this time.
Alright, and here we go into game 2 of this best of 3 set. Ben Hickey on the top of your screen with Hydreigon and the Cresselia. This could be his final game. These are the Pokemon he is choosing to lead with. And Hayden McTavish on the bottom, up 1-0.
I think he'll probably see a little more conservative the game with that this time.
Yeah, Hayden will definitely want to make sure that he keeps the momentum up. Retreats to the champ in favor of the Scizor, which is going to love going up against Hydreigon and the Cresselia. We'll have to watch out if there are any fire type attacks though. Thunder Wave comes out, going to make sure that there's no risk of that, cutting the speed of that Hydreigon, and going to potentially make sure that that Hydreigon is unable to attack. The Earth Power comes out from Hydreigon, is going to target the Scizor, doing better damage than that Draco Meteor would have been. Probably a good prediction there. Doesn't want to also drop the special attack. Life Orb taking a little bit of the HP there, and the Psyshock coming out, double targeting that Machamp slot. Definitely wanted to get rid of that one early. Is going to deal some damage to Scizor, putting Scizor in a pretty bad situation already. But with the paralysis, Hydreigon is not going to be able to deal too much damage.
The switch though, so a good play, but limited by his own lack of fire move here.
And even though Hydreigon is paralyzed, we've already seen Trick Room come out once, still a good position there. The Bug Bite is going to target the Cresselia, possibly trying to heal Scizor back up a little bit. Going to go ahead and deal a lot of damage to that Cresselia, over half, about 60%. Is going to steal the Citrus Berry also and eat it to heal up a little bit of health there. We'll be close to see if that's going to be enough to get it past the Earth Power coming in from Hydreigon. The Ice Beam is going to come out onto Thundurus. Not going to set up Trick Room, just going to use the Ice Beam and possibly break that substitute that Thundurus put up. Will be enough to break the substitute. Now Thundurus is open to an attack. Does waste that turn basically though, but Hydreigon is going to be able to use the Earth Power on the Scizor, and it's going to be close to see how much damage this does. You can see the Molten Earth causing that HP to drop, and Scizor barely survives at 19 HP. Very close. That Citrus Berry steal, huge for Scizor there.
And really clever use of Bug Bite there. Most people just use Bug Bite on Scizor because it's the best, it's the highest damage bug move you can use on Scizor and the most accurate. Instead it has knocked Scizor out 0 times.
Yeah, huge play there by Hayden to make sure that Scizor stayed reasonably healthy there. Hydreigon is going to go for the Protect, hoping to waste a turn on that Scizor, possibly Bug Biting it this turn. The Thunderbolt does come out onto the Cresselia, is going to deal to get the KO. The Bug Bite does go into the Protect. Did Cresselia Trick Room? No, it went for the Psyshock. And is going to target that Scizor again. Possibly enough to get that last little sliver of health. Yes, does finally get the Scizor knocked out.
And no Citrus Berry this time. Still a great showing by the Scizor there. Did a bunch of damage, and in spite of switching in a really unfavorable situation, it was able to keep the damage relatively even to keep the game close.
Yeah, good work by that Scizor. It did not go down without a fight, and definitely put Hayden in a very good position for the remainder of the game, especially with that Cresselia at such low health. If he had brought Rhyperior, I would have thought that he would want to go for the Trick Room there, but not going for that, you have to wonder if he brought it at all.
Yeah, I'd expect you're right there. I think that's a tell that Rhyperior probably isn't available, or that he didn't think it was safe to Trick Room. Really better than its alternatives like Gladios, but it's certainly not looking like it in this battle.
Yeah, and Thunderous with that Thunderbolt we already saw deal good damage to that Cresselia is going to be enough to take out the Cresselia this turn. Cresselia does think, and Machamp is going to have open season on Hydreigon, is going to use that Dynamic Punch. That powerful fighting type attack on the dark type Hydreigon is going to be more than enough to get the KO on the paralyzed Hydreigon. And now Hayden takes a huge lead, and now it's up to Ben's last two Pokemon to get them back in the game and force a game 3.
So we get a little familiar here, right? Where again in this 3-2 situation, it's a little different than last time. Trick Room with the Nature Factor last time, where this time we don't even know what Pokemon we're about to see. But tough spot to be in again, but far from unrecoverable.
And as we see, he did not decide to go with that heavy Trick Room mode as Ludicolo comes out, but Rhyperior is still on the field as well. But still, now that it's so slow, not the best position for Rhyperior to be on, especially with that Machamp out.
Yeah, a rough spot for it. Fake out pressure from Ludicolo will help out here.
For the Thunderous and the Machamp, I never thought I would say that. Ludicolo is going to use Protect, doesn't want to take any free damage from that Thunderous and Thunderbolt. Machamp also protecting, assuming the fake out was coming, I'm sure. And it looks like that it'll only be the Thunderous and the Rhyperior making moves here. The Thunder Wave does go into the Protect, the Earthquake comes in, not going to deal any damage to that Thunderous, or the Ludicolo, or the Machamp thanks to those Protects.
Good plays by both sides there. I think they both correctly predicted one of the opponent's moves, but not the other, so... yeah, the turn's just a wash, which is a win for the Hayden side, because he can get rid of fake out, so...
I guess with this Machamp, he has 3 Pokemon to Ben's 2. Ludicolo goes for the double Protect, but it's not going to work this time. Thunderous still goes to the Thunder Wave, knows that it wants to get that onto the Ludicolo. Is going to paralyze Ludicolo, making its life a little bit more troublesome, as it may not be able to attack at any turn. The Dynamic Punch comes out again onto that Rhyperior, super effective, and is going to cause that confusion status. As opposed to the Swagger, which we've seen a lot of, isn't going to raise its attack, which is great, because you don't want to give Rhyperior more attack. Feels just about half, a little bit under half there, as Rhyperior is confused. And we'll have to see if Rhyperior is going to be able to make an attack here, as we see that it does get the Earthquake off, but because Ludicolo could not protect, it is going to take some damage from this Ground Gym boosted Earthquake, a lot more than it wants to. But Machamp is going to also take a whole heap of health there, but the damage on the Ludicolo probably much more important here, as Machamp should be able to take that with ease. As we see its health bar falling, good amount of damage, but not enough, because that Citrus Berry is just going to heal right back off.
Yeah, from a practical standpoint, it does about the same amount of damage to both Pokemon, but much more meaningful for Ben's side. It's the only of the 2 Pokemon remaining. He's got to be really careful with the damage he takes, especially because both of his Pokemon now have a status effect. Rhyperior is confused, Ludicolo's paralyzed. He's going to have a hard time even moving from here on out, which makes it even more difficult because this isn't a great matchup to begin with. Ludicolo doesn't really like dealing with Thunderous, and while Machamp did surprisingly little damage to Rhyperior because of its solid rock ability, which reduces the damage of super effective attacks, it's still not a good matchup for him because without the Ground Gym, Machamp's going to be able to take 1 more Earthquake before it faints.
Yeah, and because we've already seen that Machamp is faster, it's going to be 2 Dynamic Punches to 2 Earthquakes. Dynamic Punch will win that every time.
Yeah, he's going to hope for a critical hit or a really clever chain of Protects here.
But it's not going to be able to get that off, as Rhyperior does hit itself in confusion, not able to get the Protect off this time. Hidden Power comes out from Thunderous, is going to try and ensure that KO onto Rhyperior. Going to deal some damage there, make sure that the Dynamic Punch is enough. Super effective, probably Ice type there. Dynamic Punch does come out onto the Ludicolo actually, making sure that Ludicolo is both paralyzed and confused, which will make its life a lot more difficult, even though it's just barely hanging on with that red sliver of health there. Confused, paralyzed, we've seen a lot of that this weekend. Ludicolo, not able to make an attack either, is going to hit itself in its confusion and bring itself down to a very low amount of health. 2 slower Pokemon against 2 faster Pokemon. These last 2 only have a very little bit of health. Looks bad.
very bad. Hayden's got to be licking his chops here. He's got 3 Pokemon remaining, but they're all healthy against 2 Pokemon that are disabled and aren't likely to be able to move. Hard to imagine a better situation here. I mean, unless Machamp's gonna evolve into Mewtwo or something, I think he's probably likes his eyes.
It's a mega evolution to Mewtwo. The hidden power comes out from the Thundurus onto the Rhyperior. He is going to get the KO on Rhyperior, and the Dynamic Punch, I assume, is coming out from Machamp. That's right, Rhyperior faints on Ben's side. The Dynamic Punch from Machamp does come out, is going to target the Ludicolo, and Hayden McTavish going to get the KO there. Comes all the way back from the last chance qualifier, grinds his way in all the way through to the World Championship Finals and takes the crown. Hayden McTavish is our 2013 Senior World Video Game Champion. Congratulations, Hayden. And just look at him on the stage. It's amazing. Finally takes home the crown after an incredible weekend of Pokemon.
What an amazing journey. I think it's really inspirational to come from the LCQ and be able to become the world champion. There's lots of players who come to Worlds every year hoping to be able to achieve that dream, and he's proven that you can do it. It's worth coming to the LCQ. It's worth making the trip to Worlds to try to become the champion.
Everybody, welcome back to the 2013 Pokemon World Video Game Championships. I'm joined here by Hayden McTavish, our newly crowned Senior World Champion here. First of all, congratulations, Hayden. You've had an amazing run this weekend. You qualified through the last chance qualifier, played through Swiss rounds, played through Top Cut last night, and then the finals today. How has it been playing so much Pokemon in such a short amount of time?
Well, I haven't had a decent meal in a couple days. It's been pretty stressful, but other than that, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, I'm sure we can fix that once you, as the world champion, can finally rest and get a nice, decent, hot meal. I wanted to talk to you especially about that Machamp. So, Machamp has been one of my favorite Pokemon all the way back in the red and blue, but I have never seen it used competitively before. Why did you choose to go with Machamp?
Well, I've been using it for the past 2 years. I used it last year as well. I really like the no guard ability because I never miss, and then I don't have to deal with Sandhill Garchomp. And Wide Guard's been pretty useful. I honestly didn't think it was that weird when I added it. It just seemed like it made sense, and I remember from Generation 4 being really good as a lead. I was very surprised that it caught people off guard, actually.
Yeah. Had you built the entire team around Machamp, or was that just sort of like, oh, this is one of the Pokemon that I know works, I'll just use it on this other team that I had built?
I originally added it without any support at all. I had just added Thundurus down, or like a couple days before, to give it paralysis support, which is really annoying for everyone has to face it.
So this is your first World Championships.
Yep.
And your first World Championships, you walk away as the champion.
That's pretty cool. I didn't expect to pass LCQ.
Yeah. And of course, as the champion, you'll be invited back next year.
Yep.
Do you think you can take it next year too?
I think so. I'll have to look at all the X and Y stuff.
Yeah. Are you excited about the new X and Y Pokemon?
Yeah. It looks like they're getting a lot more stronger, it seems.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to run like Worry Seed or something to get rid of all the abilities.
I'm kind of excited because we saw during the opening ceremonies the Mega Kangaskhan. Are you worried that they'll make a Mega Machamp and you'll have to adapt to that?
Oh, that would just be cool.
How many arms do you think that one would have?
I don't know, maybe 600.
Well, how does it feel now to be walking out of your first World Champions as the champion?
Oh, it feels great. I can't wait to tell everyone at home because they didn't think I was even going to Worlds.
Really? Was this something you...
I wasn't sure I was even going to enter the last chance qualifier because I was pretty unsure about my team. And then I ended up being convinced by my dad and I went and managed to do pretty well.
That's great. So what kind of support have you had from your family or friends since you've been up here?
Well, my dad's been helping me all the time when I get super stressed before all the matches. He helps me relax and tells me not to worry so much. My mom and sister have been pretty helpful. They just came here, and I have my sister's little Absol here.
Oh, that's awesome. It's so great to see families so supportive of players like you, who sort of rolled the dice and went all the way. Congratulations again, Hayden. It was a pleasure watching you play, and I look forward to seeing you back here next year. That was Hayden McTavish, everybody, our 2013 Pokemon Senior World Champion. Congratulations